Good morning. Welcome to Talking Movies. I'm Spling. This week we're talking about a tender drama, a wild outlaw romance, and a sparse man-on-the-run thriller. Starting off with a new release, Mr. Holmes. This is from director Bill Condon, who directed Gods and Monsters. He's directing Ian McKellen again, who is supported by Laura Linney and Milo Parker. While Ian McKellen has become best known for fantasy with roles in Lord of the Rings and the X-Men franchise over the last 15 years, we tend to lose sight of the fact that he's just as good in intimate dramas. In Mr. Holmes, he's crafted another fine performance as Sherlock Holmes in the story about the character battling memory loss and revisiting an unsolved case in his later years. Instead of disguises and detective agency thrills, it's treated like a memoir in a similar fashion to Mr. Turner. The production values are outstanding, and while languishing, it's been beautifully filmed. McKellen and young Parker are the highlight of the film, generating heartfelt on-screen chemistry as a master and apprentice, and stealing the spotlight from Linney, who almost gets sidelined. The narrative does require some deciphering, and there's no spoon-feeding, which is refreshing, but it'll probably be a little disappointing for those familiar with a more traditional and romanticized version of Sherlock Holmes, like ITV's Sherlock Holmes TV series starring Jeremy Brett. The pacing may be plodding and the jigsaw storytelling a bit confusing, but the quality of the ingredients smooth things over. I gave it a satisfactory 6 on the Splingometer. Then moving on to another new release, Impunity. A love-struck couple are connected to the murder of a politician's daughter. It's from director Jyoti Mistry and stars Alex McGregor, Bjorn Steinbach, and Desmond Dubé. This is a South African outlaw romance thriller that tries to get by on titillation and experimental style. The visuals move from poetic to pornographic as the Blue Lagoon meets Bonnie and Clyde mashup gathers momentum. While the filmmakers seem intent on tapping into and making a comment on South Africa's culture and justice system, the script is underdeveloped and doesn't have enough weight to complete this thought. The film is peppered with violence, as our natural-born killer couple meet at a bar, kill the abusive owner, and then seem to drive each other into a primal, sex-fueled rampage across the country. While the co-leads are determined and fearless, their characters have very little history of substance, making it difficult to figure out what's really motivating them. Uneven camera work, perspective-shifting storytelling, and awkward exploits make Impunity a curious, yet ultimately disappointing film experience. The beautiful KwaZulu-Natal region, theme of criminality, and classic thriller concept are good, but it was done much more convincingly in Durban Poison. I ended up giving this one a third-rate 3 on the Splingometer. And finally, a new rental, Beyond the Reach. A corporate high roller and a young tracker become ensnared in a game of do or die during a hunting trip in the Mojave Desert. It's from director Jean-Baptiste Leonetti and stars Michael Douglas, Jeremy Irvine, and Martin Palmer. Beyond the Reach essentially rests on 3 pillars: Michael Douglas, the Mojave Desert, and a sparse man-on-the-run concept. While the film could have branched off into another state to explore the symbolic effects of breaking your moral code, it plays as a straight thriller, using the magical contrasts of the desert as a backdrop. The tracker becomes the tracked, and we watch as a deadly game of cat and mouse play out in a stark and cruel landscape. Douglas has glimmers of his performance from Falling Down, as his over-the-top tycoon character tries to outwit a crafty tracker, played by a browbeaten Jeremy Irvine. For the first hour it works, in a similar fashion to The Edge, despite some convenient turns. However, when the story leaves the desert, it's as if the filmmakers were still experiencing hallucinations from dehydration themselves, as the film stumbles to an any thriller conclusion after leaping across some giant plot holes. It's an interesting mirage of a thriller which seems to have been cut short or possibly salvaged. I gave it a flimsy 4 on the Splingometer. So, just to wrap up, Mr. Holmes, a beautiful, tender yet sluggish drama with a fine lead performance, a satisfactory 6, Impunity, an uneven, underdeveloped and unflinching crime thriller, a third-rate 3, and then Beyond the Reach, a promising and sparse thriller gives way to a bizarre third act, a flimsy 4. For more movie reviews, interviews and features, visit spling.co.za or spling.mobi on the go. And remember, don't wing it, spling it.